This is Lake Chamo in Africa's Rift Valley. And just looking around today, even in the 21st century, this place has the look of somewhere that could hold a real serious monster. Lake Chamo is in the south of the Ethiopian Rift Valley, and it is known for the size of the beasts that live here. And these beasts aren't just fish. I generally scout out an area before I fish, but on this lakeside I'm not alone, and I'm not sure I like it. I'm not used to jostling for position with man-eaters. These guys can eat up to half their own body weight in a single meal, and very often it's fishermen that end up on the menu. Situations like this that make you rethink your place on the food chain. I'm normally the person who's doing the hunting, but I'm very aware now that I'm actually having to sort of look around me, watch my back. Something might have its eye on me. Feeling a little bit more relaxed now. This croc's still in some of these reeds here. Didn't actually see the animal then, but heard the movement as it went through the reeds. It seems like the big Nile perch are only going to be found where the dangers are high. I'm hoping to get some survival advice from a group of fishermen camped out on the lake shore. So why is it off the ground? Why have you got it raised up off the ground? So one reason it's off the ground is just to keep them dry, but there's also just a real menagerie of animals that's active at night. They say, you know, even pythons will come and sort of snuggle up to you if you're lying on the ground. Just last year, a man was nearly killed by a 13-foot python. He only escaped by using his cell phone to raise the alarm. So you actually live here all the year round? It very much is, you know, a very hardcore way of life, this. It is set apart from the rest of society, but I think quite a few people here have got rather shady pasts and, you know, they can't really go back. So that explains why they do live on the edges, this very basic existence, and putting up with the very real dangers that do go with this way of life. It's a fairly lawless society down here by all accounts, and I'm not exactly comfortable in their presence. Apparently some of these men are wanted by the police for crimes that include murder. This man tells me that not long ago he was out fishing with a friend when he was attacked by a rival gang. Conflict like this has been going on for centuries. They stole his nets and boats, and apparently he was lucky to escape alive. The dangers here come at you from all directions. I'm honoured but a little uneasy when these fishermen on the fringe invite me to join their meal.
Right. So this is tilapia?
Yeah.
Tilapia?
Yeah.
A little bit of spice.
Tilapia are a small fish that they commonly target as they are easier to catch than the Nile perch.
Ah,
Very good.
very good. Sushi tilapia. Actually not bad. Thank you.
I realise that if I'm to fish here, I really need to know the risks I'll be facing.
What about the dangers on the lake? I've seen the hippos, I've seen the crocodiles. Is this something that you worry about every day?
No,
Most of these animals, the hippos and the crocs, will be close to the shore. That's the dangerous area. So what they do is they deploy their nets out in the middle of the lake in the deeper water, but obviously they've still got to go through the shallows on their way and on their way back. But they say even so, there are people who've worked with them in the past who have been killed by both hippos and by crocs.
Despite their lumbering looks, many consider hippos Africa's most dangerous animal, as they often kill fishermen. This man knows just how real that danger is. He was attacked by a hippo just a few months ago while on his way to the lake to fish for Nile perch.
Altai was walking with his nets along a path, and then he noticed a hippo. And when he saw the hippo, he called out, and his friend ran off, and at that point the hippo charged him. And the next thing that happens is that the hippo is goring him in the side of the chest. So the hippo has these two sharp tusks on the lower jaw, and apparently was spearing him with these tusks, and in the process of that actually flipped him over onto his back. And he basically just thought he was going to die, and he was praying for it to stop. He was praying that he would survive this somehow. It appeared that his prayers had been answered because actually the hippo stopped goring him and started moving off towards the lake, towards the water. Shortly after that, his friend actually came back and found him. What injuries were you left with after this? Can you show your... This horrific wound on the chest here, apparently there were 3 ribs broken and with, bits of rib actually visible sticking out. And likewise, the wounds on the leg, there was a flap of skin hanging out. I mean, for me, it just really underlines just what a dangerous job this is, what a dangerous place this is to be a fisherman. I mean, I can scarcely begin to imagine what it's like working as a fisherman on this lake.
But if I want to learn how they catch their mputa, I'm going to have to fish like they do. So I head out with one of the guys to check their nets. But I hadn't counted on their boats being so flimsy and exposed.
This is a bit nerve-wracking. There's a pod of hippos over there. It's not them I'm worried about, but there's a couple of others on the fringes of the group which periodically go under and then come back up again, and they've been coming back up closer and closer. Strangely, I'm actually trying to get to the deep water because that's actually going to be safer than the shallows where the hippos and the crocs are. Hippo's very, very close. Looking this way, gone underwater. I don't like the look of this, actually.
After what I've just heard, I want to stay well clear of these hippos. They are just as dangerous in the water, and they have been known to flip boats, chomping the occupants to death. If I get on the wrong side of a hippo, especially in this tiny canoe, I'll be lucky to escape alive. But my only option is to just get on with it. If, like the local fishermen, you are dependent on the fish you catch to stay alive, you've got to work with the dangers.
Bit of a ropey old net, this. Looks like a few crocs and hippos have actually gone through this. I think it's quite good actually having something to do while I'm out here rather than just drifting on this water. The thought of what's down there, the crocs and the hippos down there. Oh, there's a fish already. So this is the tilapia. This is what the fishermen mostly catch, or what they catch in numbers in these lakes. And they don't run to a great deal bigger than this. Spiny dorsal fin, lovely bluish coloration there. Yeah, just very pretty. But the reason they're catching them is they are very, very good eating. which is what's going to happen to this one.
The rest of the net doesn't yield any more fish, let alone a Nile perch. But apparently they are out there, and they are the prize that makes facing the unseen dangers worthwhile. The fishermen on this lake are proving to be some of the bravest people I've met. However, in his pursuit of fish, this guy has pushed his luck to the limit.
This is actually quite a story. He'd earlier seen a crocodile in this area, and what he'd done, he'd thrown stones at the crocodile to make it go away. And he just saw the crocodile sink. He assumed then that it was actually, safe to go in the water. A crocodile grabbed him by the left leg. What crocodiles do, they try and pull you into deeper water to drown you. That's how they kill you before they then, dismember you later on. But the crocodile actually then got tangled in the net. And the fisherman was able to actually come free of the crocodile's jaws. But you said there were 2 times, another time also, a crocodile attack? The second time was 2 years later, deploying the net, and as he's paying out the net, he felt something go like that on his toe. And this was a crocodile standing on his right foot. And at that point, he's thinking, here we go again. He managed to half get on the boat, right leg on the boat, and then the crocodile came along and grabbed his left leg again. One tooth of the crocodile went in his leg. Because the boat was in the way, the crocodile couldn't get a good grip on him. So eventually, the crocodile's grip slipped and he was able to escape. And I'm thinking this is a very lucky guy. I mean, he probably doesn't feel he's very lucky to have this happen to him twice, but the fact that he's escaped twice from the jaws of crocodiles, that is absolutely impressive by anybody's standards, and I'm really glad I don't have to earn my living fishing from this lake. The one that attacked you, same size as this?
I reckon that croc must be about 15 feet long and close to 1,000 pounds. Fishermen here have a lot to be afraid of, so it's no wonder that religion plays such an important part in their lives. This spectacular rock-hewn church is devoted to the patron saint of Ethiopia, a man famous for doing battle with an almighty river monster, a giant dragon. This is Bet Georgis, the Church of St. George.
This place literally is breathtaking. To think this is actually just one solid lump of rock, I mean, it's just a huge sculpture, really, just incredible. This is a classic picture of St. George on his horse, the dragon lying dead or dying on the ground. No, it's very, very clear from here that so important is he to the people here that there are even people who believe that this story of George and the dragon actually happened here in Ethiopia.
If St. George did kill a dangerous Ethiopian dragon, then it's no wonder the locals revere him. But as I walk through the nearby town, I realise just how significant he is to them.
St. George is so important here in Ethiopia that the 23rd of every month is St. George's Day. And here at another church devoted to St. George, you get these crowds of people coming in to worship.
As I wait for the Mass to finish, a man seemingly kitted out as St. George himself arrives.
So I've just asked this man, is he St. George? And he's launched into the whole story, telling me the story of St. George.
Apparently, at some point in the distant past, human sacrifices were made to appease a dangerous dragon that lived in a lake near a village. Eventually, it was the turn of the chief's daughter. But before she was devoured, a knight arrived to slay the dragon and save the princess. This man was St. George. As the St. George's Day Mass finishes, I enter the church to see if I can learn a bit more about what kind of local river monster this dragon might have been.
Well, this is the classic picture of St. George on his horse, dragon slain on the ground, and the princess, the maiden, looking on. Very, very detailed rendition of the dragon. It's got pretty nasty looking teeth, a forked tongue, and these wings with little claws almost on the edge of the wings.
It seems like the dragon is a composite of all the most deadly animals that are found here in the African Rift Valley. Even my Nile perch is represented by the wings of this beast. The continuing strength of this legend underlines how the people here have been battling creatures in the water for generations, and they love a hero who can defeat them. I come across one man who took on perhaps the most feared animal here when he was attacked by a crocodile. However, this time the croc didn't leave empty-handed.
You know, not only did the crocodile actually make off with his foot, it had done so much damage to his lower leg that his leg was actually amputated above the knee. Unbelievably, I mean, he still fishes. As this picture here proves, he still goes out with just one leg, fishing in the very same lake where he had that encounter.
He has a family to feed, so he has to keep facing the dangers. But he's not fished this long without learning a thing or two.
So this tilapia in the picture, very interesting. He actually used that as live bait for Nile perch. He knows where the Nile perch are. He could tell me possibly the places to go and maybe the places to avoid. I think, you know, this could be a very useful lead.
After a discussion of tactics with this fearless fisherman, I head back out onto Lake Chamo, armed with some inside information about good places to try. But to get to them, I have to pass a point known as the Crocodile Market, so called because it's a favourite spot for these lake giants to gather. Apparently, the largest Nile crocodile ever recorded lived on this lake, a beast about 20 feet long, and that was only a few years ago. Seeing this many crocodiles hauled out in the sun makes me realise just how many man-eating sized monsters are living in this lake.
Just the size of some of these creatures, just enormous. I've never seen so many big crocodiles in one place before.
And as they sink back into the water, I can understand why they say it's the croc you don't see that will kill you. But for now, I've got a more immediate problem, as again, out of nowhere, the wind has suddenly picked up. The waves have risen and the water has muddied.
I think if ever there's a deadly place to fish, either on rivers or in the sea, this is it. Well, this boat here is metal, there's no inherent buoyancy at all. If this develops a leak, it's just going straight down, and there's 20-foot crocs in here.
Only a prize as big as a Nile perch makes facing these risks worthwhile, so I push on, hoping that I'll catch my prey before I become the prey. Like the old man suggested, I'm using a tilapia as bait. It'll work better than an artificial lure because the water's very cloudy, but the weather here is beating me.
And this is actually not working. We're being blown so fast we're just dragging that behind us. It's not drifting.
After a few hours getting bashed around by the waves, I head into shore for a break.
Basically all the gear on both boats, I've got two boats, one for me, one for equipment and also for safety, but everything just battered around and soaked. So we've come into a bit of shelter here, downwind of a peninsula that runs out into the lake, and letting everything dry. But we came past a net, and actually when we came onto the shore, a couple of fishermen paddled around in the boat with a sack, and I'm just going to see what's in the sack, actually. Oh, I actually thought there might have been a few fish in there. That's just one fish. It's a Nile perch. Not so easy to recognise when it's just the meat, but actually you can see the shape of the fish from this fillet here. Very deep-bodied, white flesh, some red muscle on the outside, but you know, very prized for its eating. Looking at that, you know, the tail is going to end about here. The head is about here, which, you know, that translates into a fish that's sort of 3 or 4 foot long. So I'm guessing that's going to be a good 50 pounds, something like that. And you catch on a hook or nets? So fairly industrial fishing methods, about sort of 70 or 80 yard long net and going down about sort of 6, 7 foot. So that was put out last night. They checked it today, and this was the result. You know, one fish, but a very nice sized one. Apparently this was caught from an area near here where the bottom is quite rocky. Now that's quite a good sign, because everywhere I've been to so far the bottom has been very, very smooth, very level, and it's interesting that this fish was caught in a place where there's a little bit of, you know, underwater ups and downs.
I try my luck at the spot they mentioned, a rocky outcrop in the lee of an island. Nile perch love having cover to ambush their prey from, and the underwater ridge here could be perfect for them. But despite fishing here for several hours, nothing takes. Over the next few days, I fish a variety of locations, but it just seems that either the fish aren't here, or others have gotten here first.
So this net is definitely designed to catch Nile perch. Looks like I've got some serious competition here.
Eventually, I have to admit that this lake is defeating me. I've seen how determined the fishermen are here, and they've been harvesting these lakes for thousands of years. I'm beginning to wonder if the Nile perch here have been overfished too.
It's a bit disappointing having to leave these lakes without having caught anything. I've seen plenty of monsters, but not the one that I want. I think if I stayed here long enough, I might catch something, but life is too short for that. I think I'm going to have to go to one of the other Rift Valley lakes.
I have no choice but to head to a place that is truly out of reach of fishermen. Not only is it illegal to keep fish that are caught here, but few local fishermen are willing to test its spectacular natural defences.
This is Murchison Falls in Uganda. I've seen how people in the Rift Valley fish some pretty extreme, dangerous water conditions, but I can't imagine anybody fishing here. So I'm thinking that maybe at the bottom of these falls could be the place where I'm going to catch my monster Nile perch.
The water at the bottom of these falls is known as the Devil's Cauldron, and it's where I'm about to meet my river monster. On this journey to catch Africa's largest freshwater fish, I've faced deadly monsters. Encountered fearless fishermen who have courted death. And I've braved storms and lethal conditions in what is surely one of the most deadly places in the world to be a fisherman. Yet the giant at its heart has so far eluded me. As I make my way up to the falls, my anticipation is mounting.
I'm just approaching what looks like smoke there, but that is the spray that is being thrown up by the Murchison Falls. And the thought of the size of some of the fish that are down in this churning water, you know, starting to get a bit of a flutter. It's really quite frightening, the thought of hooking a big fish in this water.
This could be my best and perhaps last chance of catching a monster.
This big eddy behind me is called the Devil's Cauldron. Now that sounds very melodramatic, very over the top, but You know, words almost don't do justice to this place. When you're down at water level, you know, just a huge push of water coming through. Apparently 300 tons every second coming through that crack there. Now, this is very hostile water, and for the local fishermen with their methods, you know, it's not going to be easy to fish here. If you're fishing nets or long lines, you know, that kind of fishing involves getting in the water very often. There are crocs in here. This water is very, very strong. So this could be the only kind of gear that might stand a chance here.
I've got to watch my footing. If I fall in, I'll be sucked to the bottom of this churning water in seconds. Crocs are hard to see in the water at the best of times, but the foam produced by the falls gives them the perfect cover. This could be my most dangerous fishing location yet.
Anything takes that bait, it's a large bait, it's going to be a serious sized fish. So, you know, one thing I've got to really be aware of is I don't want to be pulled in here. Oh, fish on. Went a bit slack then, but the water is just moving around so much it's actually gone in some of the water that's coming towards me. This feels a good size because it's actually coming with the current. It's up to, coming out to the surface. Coming out to the surface. That's a good size fish. Gosh, that's a good size. This fish is actually going with the current. It's just stopped. There it is on the top, on the top, on the top. I think the fish is tired, but there's a real weight of water behind it. It's right in the side here, it's right in the side. Right in the side. It's tired out. I can't see the fish because there's just all that foam. How about that? Right, I've just put a bit of heavy mono through its mouth. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just pull it back into the water, walk it round here into some quiet water where it can recover, where I can recover as well. I'm just hoping if there's crocs that they'll prefer the fish to me. It's already starting to get a bit more strength back, but I want to make sure it's fully recovered before I have a proper look, because if it goes back in this water, not properly recovered, it's just going to get bashed, possibly to death, on these rocks.
I'm going to need the help of my boat driver, Etchy, as this fish is too big to lift by myself.
It's 112 pounds with the net. We've got to deduct a little bit for that, but that's well clear of 100 pounds. Okay, and then up. Okay. Right, this is one lump of a Nile perch, well over 100 pounds, and just what an amazing setting to catch it from. Big old fish, ambush predator, great big paddle of a tail there, but at the business end, look at this, you don't have tentacles like a catfish, you've got big eyes, and then you've got this protrusible jaw. And when it actually opens that quickly, it's almost telescopic, and it just engulfs fish by creating a vacuum. The water just rushes in. And one other thing just to say, look at that for a defence. It's like having 6-inch nails sticking out your back.
Finally, I've caught the fish that shows monster Nile perch can still be found here in Africa's Rift Valley.
Ooh, nice to see it go back. Oh, I'll tell you what though, if I was a fish, I would not like to live in this water. I mean, some of the other stuff that's in here, particularly the crocodiles, and also just the sheer strength of this water, but I mean, just what a dramatic setting to catch a fish like that.
On this journey, I've had to fish some of the scariest places I've ever been to. But I've put my life on the line, faced the monsters, and caught a giant in what is almost certainly the oldest and most dangerous fishing spot in the world.
Go Harvey Norman, your destination for outdoor living. Our huge range features the latest trends in aluminium, stone, timber and wicker, lounges and dining, casual bar settings, sun lounges, and settings to suit small spaces. So much more to explore now at Harvey Norman, your destination for outdoor living.
I'm Jeremy Wade, biologist and extreme angler. From the depths of the Amazon to the suburbs of Berlin, I've been busy tracking down the world's most frightening freshwater fish and uncovering the truth about their evil reputations.
It's taking line, that's taking line.
I've tangled with man-eating catfish,
This is the one that goes after people as well.
swum with piranhas, and grappled with ferocious gar. My next assignment is a beast of terrifying power.
It's spinning the boat, it's spinning the boat. It's taking the boat down.
Some people say this is the world's biggest freshwater fish. If my line jams, it could pull me in. This is a monster that can stab you with an 8-inch bayonet. Its flesh-dissolving venom has no known antidote. Just catching this fish will test me to the limit. But my aim isn't simply to measure one of these giants. I also want to know where it lives and how dangerous it really is.
I have a feeling this could be my toughest challenge yet.
Here it comes, here it comes.
I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
In just the past few years, a strange and possibly deadly creature has come out of the shadows. I've read dramatic accounts of epic 6-hour battles and heard that this predator can inflict horrendous wounds. Some people are even claiming that this little-known beast is the world's biggest freshwater fish. The name of this monster is Hymantura chaupraia, the giant freshwater stingray. Shaped like a UFO, this Southeast Asian giant is said to grow to 16 feet long and 7 feet across. Some sources put its weight at over 1,300 pounds. Even this basic information is very hard to verify. It all sounds incredibly impressive, but how much of this stuff can I really believe? It seems that no one knows how big this thing actually grows or why. I've encountered river stingrays before, 1,000 miles up the Amazon. Here they're known as wish-you-were-dead fish, because of their agonizingly painful sting. But these stingrays are relatively small. The thought of a 16-footer sends a real shiver down my spine. These are some examples of the wounds caused by marine stingrays, and typically what you're talking about is a very deep puncture wound, normally to the foot or the lower leg, but sometimes higher up, and the people generally talk about this as being extremely painful. And as well as the actual immediate wound, you have this very long-lasting effect of, you know, tissue necrosis. I mean, it's just a very painful, messy wound. Here's one from New Zealand, and you can see here that the barbs are actually still embedded in the leg, and you know, the bit you can see is probably about sort of 5, maybe 6 inches long, and this is in the upper leg. And actually, you know, this person was very lucky, because if that had been a little bit further round, that could have punctured the femoral artery, and that could have been a fatal wound that could have killed him. Note to self: don't get stung. This is the barb from a stingray, actually quite a small one, but you can get the general idea. The barb sits on top of the tail, and what it does, it whips it over its back, a bit like a scorpion, or it can also whip it round to either side. And, you know, looking at this, you can just see just how wickedly sharp that point is. The second thing is, you've got these grooves running underneath, and that is for delivering the venom from the gland at the base here, but also for making it a more efficient stabbing weapon. You'll see exactly the same thing on a bayonet or a combat knife. And the third thing, looking closely at this, you can see these serrations along the edge here. And what that does, it works on the same principle as an arrowhead. It goes in very cleanly, but, you know, it's going to make a real mess when you pull it out. Imagine being stabbed by a large steak knife, only this one's smeared with poison, and it really shreds your flesh when it comes out. Yeah. I've heard that the giant freshwater stingray has a barb that is 8 inches long, which is a really sobering thought. I'm quite curious to have a look at one of those, hopefully not too close, and it's certainly not something I want to bring back as a souvenir in my leg. My quest for the giant freshwater stingray takes me to Southeast Asia. First, to Thailand's capital, Bangkok. Surprisingly, this huge and potentially lethal monster lives right under our noses. Normally, when you're looking for underwater monsters, you're thinking hundreds of miles upriver in the middle of remote wilderness, but not this time. I'm literally taking a short cab ride from the airport, and I'm slap bang in the middle of Bangkok and just a few miles away from the sea. Even more incredibly, scientists only discovered the giant freshwater stingray a mere 20 years ago. Its species name, Chao Phraya, comes from this very river, running through the heart of Bangkok. And yet, this monster in our midst is still cloaked in mystery. I want to find out how big it really gets. And I also want to know how far this animal travels inland. In most people's eyes, stingrays are sea creatures, not river fish. Barely an hour's drive from the capital, I track down a story that puts me on edge and reminds me that the venom of this creature has no known antidote. Four months ago, local fisherman Pung San was surprised to hook one of these rarely seen giants. For people here, such a huge fish is a potentially lucrative catch. What happened, the stingray came to the side of the river and then wouldn't come any further, actually basically got buried in the mud. So what he had to do was actually get in the water, and it was about chest deep, and then completely go underwater with a rope, feed the rope through the spiracles, the water intake of the stingray, not the rope. He'd managed to pull it off the bottom, and it was actually as it rose in the water that he then felt this pain. The wound was actually just numb to start with. And then just this incredible pain, and in fact so painful that he collapsed
from the intensity of the pain and actually had to crawl the remaining distance to the house. This was something that wasn't going to go away on its own. It did need urgent medical treatment.
As he races for help, Pung San continues to bleed heavily and almost passes out with pain. With no antidote available, his chances of survival are anyone's guess. By the time he arrives for treatment, his condition is deteriorating fast.
What happens at the medical centre?
His heart rate spikes alarmingly, and despite anaesthetic, he remains doubled up in agony. The wound, in fact, is no more than a glancing blow, and yet the pain proves so intense that Pung San is unable to work for the next 4 weeks. He still has the very barb that impaled him.
Can I have a look at that? Right. Well, seeing that really does concentrate the mind. Absolutely vicious point on that and these horrible barbs down the side. And I think, you know, this is a fish I've got to really treat with some respect.
Evidently, even a quick jab from this fish can land you in serious trouble. Whatever it contains, the venom seems every bit as potent as in marine stingrays.
Okay, so that actually went in about getting on for 3 inches there, but it was at an oblique angle. And so although he probably doesn't feel very lucky to have had this experience, but if that had gone in straight and if that had punctured the femoral artery, you know, that could have killed him.
Tragically, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, was not so lucky. He was struck clean through the heart and died. While this freak accident happened way out at sea, the chilling fact about the stingray I'm looking for is that it swims up rivers, into some of the most densely populated parts of Southeast Asia. And it's in these crowded waterways that I'm about to try and meet this monster, face to face. I head to a town called Samut Songkhram, 50 miles west of Bangkok and just a few miles inland. This tidal stretch of river harbours some of the largest freshwater stingrays ever caught.
This fish, the giant stingray, was only described by scientists just 20 years ago, but presumably the people on these rivers have known about it probably for centuries. The problem the scientists had was just getting their hands on enough specimens to study. And what this means is that either it's a very, very rare animal or it's just very, very hard to get one out of the river.
To try and catch one of these elusive giants, I'm teaming up with an experienced fishing crew, led by stingray enthusiast Boy. Live bait is essential. Its muscle movements will give off the electrical signals that stingrays use to detect their prey. These animals are active hunters, prowling over the riverbed in search of a meal. Their faces are packed with sophisticated sensors that penetrate the mud and murk. Potentially 8 times my size, this fish is in a different league from anything I've tackled before. It calls for the heaviest gear. I'm using ultra-strong braided line with 30 yards of thick nylon monofilament at the business end. To take some of the strain, I'll be wearing a harness. Good news for my arms, but if the line digs in and jams, I could be pulled in.
You know, normally what would happen, the fish can't take line and the line will break, but when you're using a 160-pound line, that line isn't going to break. I'm going to go over the side or the boat's going to flip.
After Pung San's account, I'm anxious to avoid this nightmare scenario.
If that's dug in for some reason, I've got to have plan B. I'm going to be strapped to that. I'm going to have a harness locked into that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a knife in my pocket. If I'm going over the edge, knife comes out and just cut that line. You know, the fish can go. I don't care about the fish. It's better than drowning.
With everything prepped, we head for the chosen spot. A deep pocket in the riverbed they call Area 51, because, as they say round here, it's crawling with aliens. My battle boat is rigged with 4 big game rods, including my own Marlin class outfit that I brought for the occasion. If a line goes, I'm ready to hunker down, strap in and lock horns. To improve the odds, boys put out a dozen or so extra lines tied to floats. This isn't regarded as true sport fishing, but my mission here isn't to beat my chest or win prizes. I simply want to see one of these incredible animals in the flesh. And within minutes, there's something big mauling our baits.
That didn't run off with the bait, but there's definitely been a stingray on that. Something's come along and actually crushed that there, but then instead of taking the bait, it's actually spat it out.
Stingrays have crushing mouthparts that leave an unmistakable imprint.
Disappointing in one sense, but also good news. I mean, I'm in the right place. They are definitely down there.
The next bite's a clean take, and we're game on. As I race to clip in, something powerful rips out several feet of line, then decides to tow us upriver.
It's spinning the boat, it's spinning the boat. Pulling the boat, it's taking the boat down. I think we're going to need a bigger boat. Okay. Right. Oh, yeah, that is... Oh, look at that rod. That rod is now springing back slowly. This line shouldn't go. The rod's always a bit of an unknown quantity.
It's my own Marlin-class outfit taking the strain.
I just have visions of this rod suddenly shattering and getting a face full of fiberglass and carbon fibre. That's pulling down, that's pulling down. There is quite a real possibility of this thing pulling me in.
I feel like I'm trying to pull the plug out of the river. All I can do is dig in and keep the pressure on. After 30 exhausting minutes, I haven't gained an inch. This isn't like any fishing I've ever experienced, and I start to wonder if I can cope.
Most fish, it's all over in 5-10 minutes, half an hour at the extreme. You know, this in fresh water, something like this is just unheard of.
With neither of us willing to give in, it becomes a war of attrition. Give or take the odd foot of line, we're in total deadlock.
Just been told it's 1 hour, 5 minutes so far. We're into about round 8 now. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's taking line. That is taking line far. This thing does not like being bullied. I just decided I was going to, you know, show it who's boss. And the fish is saying, no, no, you're not the boss. Oh, that's about half an hour's worth of work has just gone. I've just gained about 3 foot of line and it's just taken that. But sometimes when it does that, the fish then takes a bit of a breather and I can maybe capitalise.
For another 40 minutes, we slug it out in a grueling tug of war.
Right, I've got the initiative. Whoa!
Then, after almost 2 hours, a breakthrough.
I think it's come off the bottom. There was a sudden sort of break of suction. It does feel like it. It's actually, yeah, that's definitely coming my way a lot faster than it has done at any time until now.
My arms are cramping up, and I'm close to breaking point. But I've finally got the measure of this gigantic fish.
It's about 1.5 meters below the surface. Here it comes, here it comes.
I'm just seconds away from seeing what must surely be one of the world's greatest river monsters.
Right, look at that. That is the rod went. The rod went. I actually saw the fish. We nearly had it in the net, but an almighty bang.
My gear was built to deal with sharks and marlin. Whatever broke this rod could have weighed as much as 700 pounds.
I thought it was my shoulder going for a minute, but it was actually the rod. Rod's too long. Yeah. Oh dear, that was so close. The fish nearly came in. We saw it. It was off, you know, eventually after 2 hours something, it was off the bottom. We were trying to get the net round it. The rod went and the fish escaped. It wasn't quite in the net.
And to make matters worse, the fight has left me with a torn bicep.
All that suffering. I saw the fish and it's... Oh, all that for nothing. All that. Oh.
It's score 1 to the stingray. But my close encounter with this giant has got me wondering, why does this creature grow so huge? As this photograph graphically shows, marine stingrays are vulnerable to attack by sharks. But what could possibly threaten a river stingray? Perhaps it's no coincidence that the rivers here are also home to another gigantic fish. Growing up to 9 feet long and weighing over 600 pounds, the Mekong giant catfish is a Class A monster. Conceivably, the stingray's immense size could be a defense strategy. To get a close-up look at a giant Mekong, I've come to a stocked fishing lake. These animals are all but extinct in the wild.
Yeah, this is a strong fish. Got that line great against there.
This one's giving me the runaround.
Huge tail on that.
It is probably just a small one.
Very powerful, sort of throbbing fight. You can almost feel the beats of the tail. That's a Mekong catfish.
My catch is only 1/10 the size of what they can reach. Nonetheless, I can see it's no ordinary catfish.
Being a catfish, it's got no scales, but what's interesting as well, although it's a catfish, it hasn't got feelers, it hasn't got barbels. And the other thing that's actually interesting here is there's no teeth in there. There's not even anything approaching a sort of one of these raspy pads in there. Although this does grow very big, I mean, well over 600 pounds, it's not really a predator. This thing's a vegetarian, it's a gentle giant. If I'm looking down from here, I can't see any eyes. The eyes are actually on the underside of the head there, very close to the corner of the mouth. And that's something that just points to it being a bottom feeder, just sort of rooting around vegetable matter on the bottom.
So this gummy oddball isn't a killer, which leaves me still wondering why the stingrays here have evolved into such giants. I've yet to see a Chao Phraya stingray, dead or alive. But with Thailand's biggest fish market just down the road, I'm back on the hunt.
Raindrops on roses and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
This is a vast clearinghouse for everything that comes out of the sea, for hundreds of miles around. Stingrays first evolved in the oceans, and it could be that the giant freshwater stingray occurs in the sea as well as rivers.
So we have got rays here. I'm finding some rays. That's not the one I'm after. This is an eagle ray of sorts. Yet another species of ray. These are all marine species, but I mean the thing that this is bringing home, there's a huge diversity of ray species, lots of variations on the theme.
Stingrays are clearly one of nature's more successful designs. But their origins, some 200 million years ago, may come as a surprise.
Quick lesson in evolution here. Here's a shark, and that is the classic shark mouth, classic shark teeth, shark tail. Come to this fish here, shark tail, shark dorsal fin. But something very different going on at the front end of the fish. It's flattening, it's becoming squashed. Let's flip it over, and suddenly we've got a very different type of mouth there. Crushing plates, but very different. Gills here on the bottom of the body. Come to this fish here, and here we have same mouth, same gills. Flip it over, and there we have it. A ray is basically a flattened shark with this long tail.
This flattened body plan, with the eyes and water intakes on top, is an adaptation for life on the ocean floor. Whatever its origins, the monster I'm after continues to elude me. After 3 hours of trawling, I haven't found a single specimen. I head to the freshwater stalls, where the fish are still pouring in. If there are no giant stingrays coming out of the sea, then perhaps I'll find one here.
Any cabane here? No? So no stingray here. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of fish I must have seen here this morning. The Thais really do love their fish. They eat pretty well anything that swims, it seems. But the freshwater ray is not here, and this could be because it is rare. It could be because it is just hard to get out of the river, or, you know, maybe there is another reason that I don't know of, but I haven't found one.
To learn more about this elusive monster, I'm meeting a scientist who has more hands-on experience of this stingray than anyone in the world. Dr. Ning from Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok is one of the few people trying to study this animal. Our first task is to collect some water from the bottom of the river, some 30 feet down. One thing I want to know is whether this ray is a true river fish living in pure fresh water.
Oh, that's on the bottom.
We're only 6 or 7 miles from the sea here, so I'd expect the river to be quite salty. In my mind, this puts a question mark over claims that the giant stingray is a true freshwater fish.
Now then, this is the moment of truth. You haven't looked at it.
If this were pure seawater, the salt meter would give me a reading of 30, with brackish water at around 15.
So that is right on zero, which I'm actually quite surprised by, because it's, you know, very obviously tidal here. You know, I had my doubts about whether this thing is a truly freshwater animal. I mean, you know, I think that is something that still requires a bit of unpacking, perhaps, but it is certainly capable of living in water that is absolutely fresh. There's no trace of seawater at this point at the moment. So, in theory, they could be even further up these rivers.
While I'm here, I also want to find out more about the stingray's lair. This stretch of water is less than half a mile from where I hooked the monster that broke my rod.
Look at that. That's what's on the bottom here.
Thick mud is going to give my quarry a big advantage.
They're going to get a very good seal and very good suction.
I now understand why I had such a battle to pull up this animal.
Just imagine that's the stingray. I mean, that actually weighs nothing at the moment. I can lift that easily, and just getting a little bit under the mud. There we go. And I can lift it up. Look at that. Ah. So, if that stingray gets the edges of its wings under the mud, I'm not just trying to lift the stingray, I'm trying to lift the whole bottom of the river.
One of the things I want to find out about this fish is just how heavy it gets. Now, for a small fish, that's not a problem. You just put it in a bag and you weigh it. But for something the size of these things, we've had to come up with something a little bit special. Back at Area 51, our lines are set, and I'm hoping my luck's about to change. As we wait for a bite, Boy tells me an unnerving story.
The heart here,
Yes.
make my heart come bam, right at the sweat.
And that's the scar of it now, is
Yeah,
it?
just here, right?
Yeah. I've just been asking Boy about stingray wounds, this kind of thing, and he told me a story about how a small one just scratched him on the finger, and he thought that's going to be fine. 15 minutes later, the entire left side of his body's gone numb, the heart is pounding away. He was actually thinking, blimey, this could be like a snake bite, you know, this could be fatal, but actually, after 3 hours, it passed, and I'm just thinking, yeah, you've just got to obviously be so careful when handling these things. With plenty of floats out, it's not long before I'm back in the ring. This time, I've learnt my lesson and switched to a shorter rod. It's my arm that worries me. I'm not sure it'll take another 12 rounds. To my relief, it's barely 20 minutes before this one starts to surface.
Right, fish is coming up. Fish is coming up. Okay. Okay, you ready, boys? So we got the fish here in the net.
I've finally caught one, my first chow phraya stingray. I keep well clear though. Until its sting is strapped up, this fish is still a loaded gun.
So this is just binding the barb, which sits in a bit of a groove, and that is binding the barb to the tail.
Once it's disarmed, we head for the bank.
Most of the body of the fish is actually in the water. I haven't really properly seen this fish. I'm really looking forward now to getting it in and having a proper look at this animal.
The pink tinge on the belly makes me think of the rash that divers sometimes get when they come up from depth. This fish has surfaced from 30 feet down, enough to give it a mild case of the bends, so it's vital we release it soon. This species is said to top 1,300 pounds. Yet, as I now discover, this is only half the story.
We've got a male. This one's a male.
The entire team is on hand to help measure and weigh the fish.
So this one's about 4.5 foot across. It's not particularly big as they go, but it is very big for a male.
Its sex explains why this one came up so fast. Astonishingly, females can be up to 8 times bigger than this full-grown male.
We've weighed it accurately, which is quite a hard thing to do. We've done it very quickly. 175 pounds, around 80 kilos.
For sheer weight, this is one of the largest fish I've ever caught. And yet, incredible as it sounds, it's a mere minnow.
It's been out of the water long enough now, I think. Here we go. Definitely time to get it back in the water.
The males may be relatively small, but they're still armed with a potentially lethal sting. Before we turn him loose, I go in for a closer look.
This is the business end. This is why it's called a stingray. This sharp, pointed, poisonous barb on the tail end. And what it can do, it can actually throw this not only over its head like a scorpion, it can throw it side to side. So that is the weaponry seen up close, and very, very impressive bit of weaponry it is too. Okay.
You all right, Jimmy?
This is an animal that completely warps your normal sense of scale. Despite catching a good-sized male, I know that my quest is far from over. Since it was first scientifically described, there have been occasional reports of large chow phraya stingrays from far inland. I'm leaving the tidal waterways around Bangkok and heading up country. Could this be where I'll finally find my monster? I travel 150 miles north, following the Chao Phraya River upstream to a town called Nakhon Sawan. But it's late May, and the rains are starting to break. As I begin to fish, the weather takes a turn for the worse. For 3 hours, it pours without let-up, and all I catch is a dose of the monsoon blues. At least someone's having some luck. Then I meet a man with an amazing tale.
This was what, just here in Nakhon Sawan?
มันกินอยู่ที่เดียวหน้าบ้านนี่ทั้งนั้นเนี่ยเขาไม่ไปต่างถิ่น
Right, this is interesting. This is a recent capture. This was only a few months ago. I'm imagining that wasn't easy to get out. How long to get this out of the river?
อ๋อโดยมากกลางวันทั้งนั้นเนี่ยแต่บานบ่ายก็ใช้เรือ2 ลำ 2 คนหลายชั่วโมง
Clearly a very big fish, this. Apparently 320 kilos, which converts to something like 700 pounds. Seriously large fish. And the story is it took 10 people in 2 boats 4 hours to get it in, and it actually dragged the boat well over a mile during that time. So I think a bit of an epic battle and a big fish.
Looking at the man's tackle, I'm amazed he got it in at all.
So it's sprayed in. We got a video clip. Someone took. You know, this is obviously big local news. There's people all around.
I'm no stranger to fishermen's yarns, but the figure of around 700 pounds does ring true. This fish was cut up and weighed accurately for market. It seems they only kept one piece of it.
Ooh. Is this from the same fish?
Yeah, same fish.
ตัดแล้วนะเนี่ยตัดเมี่ยงไปแล้วนะเนี่ย
Ooh, right, okay.
Even with its tip broken off, this barb is by far the biggest I've seen. If there are giant stingrays here, then how much further upriver do they go? I'm starting to wonder, could these creatures have penetrated deep into the river systems, just like their distant Amazon cousins? Getting on for 3,000 miles long, the mighty Mekong is Southeast Asia's greatest river. Until just the last 150 years, its upper reaches remained largely cut off from the outside world. Even today, it still feels like a land of secrets. If anyone can help me unlock them, it's the fishermen who make their living along its banks. I'm now 1,000 miles upriver, and I wonder if anyone here will know about the creature I'm looking for.
I wonder if you fishing here see any cabain.
ได้ครับเคยได้10 กว่าปีขึ้นปีที่แล้วขึ้นหลัง
The big size cabain, or these were small fish? Any really big ones?
ประมาณขนาดนี้ป่ะเสียน้อยมันจับบ่ได้มันแค่
แต่ว่ามันเขาบุงเขานี่มัน
ไล่มันเนี่ยมันเป็นไล่มันทั้งมันขันมอง
What happened there was that the stingray got wrapped up in the net, and this big one just broke its way through.
It sounds promising, but I want a positive ID. Will they recognize the fish from Nakhon Sawan?
Same fish?
เดี๋ยวเสียน้อยขนาดนี้บ่เพิ่นทำนี่ถ้ารุ่นนี้นี่สิประมาณได้อยู่100 กว่าโลอยู่นี้ครับเนี่ย
So the same fish as was here?
ต้องรุ่นนี้ล่ะโขงแล้วนี่เดี๋ยวเบิ่งก็ฮู้
Right, this is very interesting. So I've shown the picture of the ray that was caught at Nakhon Sawan, and not only is it the same species, it was also about the same size. And this was a big animal here, so that's a very, very encouraging bit of information, and it does bode well. You know, I'm going to be putting a bait in water where these things are. Do the fishermen here try to catch cabain, or is it always an accident? Is it a good fish to eat? Do people eat it?
มันมาติดเองมันมาติดเองเขาก็ดักปลาน้อยแล้ววันนี้มันแทงแล้ววันนี้มันถึกแล้วมันแทงหั่นนะแบบว่ามันแทงไปรถอ่ะ
Ah, okay. So the stingray will come after the small fish in the net, and so basically it's a nuisance species. They try and get the fish that are in your net. They get wrapped up themselves, then you've got to take them out and you've got to be very careful of the sting, and then if you get a big one, they're actually going to rip your net apart. So they don't fish for them. It's an accidental, it's a nuisance fish, they'd call it.
I head further upriver into even more remote country. But the Mekong seems unwilling to give up its secrets. Am I looking in the wrong place, I wonder? Or fishing in the wrong season? My right arm still aches from the 2-hour battle I fought, and my exercise routine brings little relief, just curious looks. Undeterred, I travel back downriver. With a confirmed eyewitness account, I'm eager to take a look for myself. I'm at a place called Nong Khai, right on the border with Laos.
25 years ago, I was actually in this very same bit of river, a little bit upstream, in fact, and I was arrested by the police on suspicion of spying, and that cut short my entire trip. End of fishing, end of everything.
They locked me up for the night and confiscated all my photos. This time round, I'm using some sophisticated sonar equipment to scan the riverbed.
What I'm doing now, I'm looking down into the water. I've got the sonar here, I've got about 20 foot of water, and I'm trying to get a sort of a mental picture of the underwater geography as my first step in looking for the stingrays. I've actually got fish symbols straight away, but they're middle of the water. They're unlikely to be stingrays, although if there's something close to the bottom, it could be a ray. I do think that they don't spend all the time necessarily just stuck right down. I think sometimes they do actually rise off maybe 3 or 4 feet and glide away.
I'm convinced there are giant stingrays down here. But before I can unpack my rod, there's a nasty surprise.
One problem about here, it's the border between 2 countries, Thailand and Laos. I might have possibly strayed over the border. I'm just going to carry on acting normal. I suppose I have got some sort of fairly high-tech looking gear on the boat. I'm spying on the bottom of the river. Okay. Go in. Okay. They probably don't see that many foreigners on the river here. Yeah, no, I've been waved into the side. They are still obviously very, very keen on keeping an eye on people who do things by this border. Border area is just very sensitive. That's another difficulty in trying to find this stingray here, the political situation.
I avoid jail at least. But I've no choice but to cut short my mission and head back south. I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever see this elusive monster. With one last throw of the dice, I return to Area 51. My hopes of actually seeing the monster I've come to find seem to be drifting away. To catch this seemingly rare and almost legendary beast, perhaps I need a little help from the gods. I'm back at Samut Songkram, where I've already caught a full-grown male and come painfully close to landing a truly massive female.
Let's get the rods on first.
This time the stakes are even higher. A team of scientists has arrived from Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, and they're counting on me to provide a live stingray for their research. So little is known about this animal that every catch offers a rare chance to learn more. The scientists will settle for any stingray I can catch, but for me, this is all about seeing a true giant. To hell with my sore arm, I'm just hoping we've hooked a big female. I haven't come this far to miss out.
The thing is, I get the illusion now that I'm actually bringing the fish to me. What's actually happening is I'm taking the boat to the fish. The fish isn't actually going anywhere at the moment. What do you think, Cara? Is it a fairly good fish? Oh, it's just actually come off the bottom.
It's a worrying sign. Any monster worth its salt isn't going to give up so quickly. But then the stingray sinks back down, switches gear, and takes off upriver.
Oh! The drag on this reel is a little bit like a handbrake on a car, and I've got that almost fully on, and the fish is basically just taking that line. As I watch at the moment, it's just going out 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches.
After half an hour, my opponent stops for a breather, and I do the same. Then we're back for round 2, and it's looking like a big fish. 7 of us on 2 boats are dragged half a mile against the tide.
Right, it might surface, it might surface, it might surface over there.
Now I've got the fish on the ropes. For the first time, it feels like I'm driving the bus.
It's under the boat now, the fish is under the boat. I don't want to be lifting it while it's under the boat. I think it's coming this way again. Ah, it's just squashing my fingers, it's squashing my fingers. It's gone this way. Sorry, gone this way. Okay. See the water boiling there? I haven't seen the fish yet. It's near the surface. I've just actually seen the lead. It's up in the water. I think we've got it. I think we've got it.
Back of the net. And this one looks pretty big, with an impressive 10-inch sting. Head of the science team, Dr. Ning, first secures the barb. She's asked me to help her collect some venom before we release the fish. It takes 6 people to heave this huge animal onto its front, into a position where we can measure it.
Okay, 180 centimetres to the base of the tail. Okay. Go for the wingspan. 1 metre 91, nearly 2 metres across, 191.
At around 6 feet across and roughly 400 pounds, this female stingray is by far the largest river fish I've ever seen. Little did I realise she was about to produce the mother of all surprises.
So we've just got the fish into where the scientific team is. And literally, as we sort of pulled it in the net, it's actually given birth to 2 live young.
Dr. Ning uses ultrasound to see if there are any more babies still inside. This is the first time scientists have been able to collect data from the fully formed pups of these stingrays.
On the ultrasound, there's the dark line, which is a cavity, and then there is a lighter shape inside it. So apparently that is the baby stingray still inside.
For me, this fish is a real first, and not just for its size.
I thought I had 1 fish on the end here. It looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, and another one inside. 4 fish, 1 hook.
Like many sharks, stingrays give birth to live young. When they emerged, these babies had what looked like a small cap on their stings, presumably to prevent internal injury to the mother. However, these safety catches soon drop off, Within minutes, these twins are armed and ready to defend themselves.
It has been known before for these fish to reject young when they're caught, and if they are not very well developed, there's a worry that they're not going to survive. But the great thing about these fish here, these two, is that they are, pretty well fully developed. They might be being born a little bit early, but I think they are definitely going to survive in this river, particularly with that 2-inch prong on their tail. There's not a lot that's going to come near them.
The scientists return to what I can only describe as the mothership. No one really knows why this animal grows so huge. Could size, I wonder, be the key that allows a marine fish to invade rivers? Most sea fish die quickly in fresh water. It's the larger ones that are best able to cope with the stress and survive. There's one final sample to extract.
Okay, I'm holding it. Just be careful. Right, we're now going to take the toxin. Okay, I'll hold him.
Collecting this thick, toxic mucus will help the scientists to discover in more detail how the venom works. It's time for me to bid farewell to this river monster. Though the jury's still out, if further research confirms that this fish does live exclusively in fresh water, then it probably is the biggest freshwater fish on the planet. What's certain is that this is the biggest and strangest